93% of business owners believe that their website is all that they need when it comes to either generating traffic to their business or marketing their business. We're in a different age of marketing. We are in the world of digital marketing. We're in the world of content creation. We're in the world of creating an experience for our ideal client. And today we're going to be talking all about how to get your business on the map when it comes to digital marketing. We're going to talk about the things that you can be doing, the things that you should be doing when it comes to marketing your business, your services, and your products to the people who need them the most, your client. Today, we're going to be talking to an individual who knows all there is to know about this world of digital marketing. He was literally raised in this new technological world that we're living in now, and he's making the most of it. I mean, we're talking to Sean Boyle, and I'll give you an introduction to Sean here in a few minutes, but let me tell you, if you're looking to get your business on the map, if you're looking to create an experience for your people when it comes to digital marketing and advertising, whatever it is, then this is the conversation that you need to be a part of today, and we're going to be going deep. You know the fee for the Be Better broadcast. We've been able to grow the way that we've grown because you've been sharing this show with one person who could use it the most, but only if you take away a piece of value from the conversation that we have today. If we made you laugh, if we gave you something new to think about, if we gave you an actual strategy that you're going to take and use and actually get results in your business, which is obviously the ultimate takeaway, then share this show with one other person, one other business owner who could use it the most. So without further ado, let's talk to our guest expert today, Mr. Sean Boyle. And for those who don't know Sean is a serial entrepreneur commanding a 7-figure digital marketing agency called Momentum. He also founded the Momentum 360 YouTube channel, where he uploads new episodes on entrepreneurship, investing, and lifestyle. And he owns SB LLC, an asset holding company for rental properties. Busy guy. In his free time, though, you can find him working hard at the gym, training jujitsu, reading self-improvement books, and dining at some of the best restaurants in Philly. Sean, it's a pleasure to have you here, brother. Thanks for making the time, man.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
I'm excited to dive in with you. First of all, and I mentioned this before we talked, but it's important for everyone to hear, man. I commend you for what you've built, because what you've built is real. You know, I get a lot of people, especially a lot of young people on the show. You see the flashy entrepreneurs on Instagram, and they're like, I'm going to show you how to make the $10,000 months. And, you know, they're over here renting things. They're renting the cars. They're in the rented hotel room, and they're broke, right? But they're trying to share something and talk about something that they've read in books or they've watched YouTube channels. And you know what? I commend the ambition, but you're building something real. You know, people go and type in Virtual 360 or Momentum 360, your business pops right up. I mean, you're highly acclaimed. You've got 5-star reviews on 5-star reviews. You go to the website, you clearly define what you do. So I just want to first, before we talk about what you do, I commend you for everything that you've built, brother. You're the guy to listen to when it comes to this.
Thank you, man. Yeah, it's one of these things where, you know, as a 24-year-old entrepreneur in the digital age, I really try to have an authentic approach and a very humble approach, because like you said, there's a lot of people on the Instagrams of the world, just on their phone, renting Lambos and all this kind of stuff. And for me, it's not necessarily something that I you know, live a very minimalistic life. I don't need all these external things that are going to like take my focus. So I really just try to have, at least for me, inspiring that role of, you know, very minimalistic lifestyle and not all that flash that can, you know, definitely cause that.
Absolutely. 100%. And it's clear just based on the conversations I've already watched with you. So because of what you do is very unique, I guess it's easy to understand, but it's still very unique, which is why you found the success that you found, just one of the many factors. Tell us about Momentum 360. What is it? Where did this idea come from? What do you do?
It's a crazy story, man. So I'll take it all the way back to when I was at Penn State, and I actually was studying engineering at the time. I was an engineering major because I saw my stepbrother, who was an aerospace engineer major, and he was like going to make, oh my God, like 95 G's a year, like $100,000 starting salary. I'm like, oh my God, sign me up, right? Like, you know, all this money being this young, it's incredible. But as I started to get into the engineering classes, I really hated it. It's not something where I kind of just woke up and naturally had a passion for it. You know what I mean? And a lot of people I think can really gravitate to that, or they're very young, they see something with a lot of money and they go to it, but they don't necessarily have an interest to it. So after I pondered the internet, I was talking to my advisor, Irene Hearn, who is a wonderful Russian professor, and she advised me into the world of digital marketing. And if so facto, I got this internship with Momentum. So I was actually a sales intern for the company that I now have equity in. And I was talking to Mac, my business partner, and I saw this like little Xbox of a thing on the counter. I was like, what is this? He's like, yeah, this is a 360 camera. You should check it out. And I was absolutely hooked, man. I saw Matterport, I saw Cloud Panel, all these virtual tour softwares. And I said, there's potential here because we can upsell it with the digital marketing services. It can be a foot in the door to get to the digital marketing services. So in layman's terms, we're a photography company that does virtual tours, virtual staging, pretty much anything you could do with a camera. Our golden goose, obviously, are these virtual tours, which is essentially taking a 360-degree photo of a real estate property, business, and we put it online so people can check it out. And there's a lot of call to actions. Whether you're a restaurant, you can book a table. If you're at a club, you can book it, whatever you want. So there's a lot of opportunity, man. But it's a crazy, crazy business to be in right now.
There's so many parts of that story I want to dive into. I think the biggest thing that's important to point out is you have two separate things here. You've got the virtual tours, and then you've got the marketing aspect. And I'm thinking specifically, and there you could apply this to anything. You could apply this, and you do now, to restaurants, to gyms, to photographers, to freelancers. There was a skill, which is the skill of virtual tours, the skill of photography, but you combined that with the skill of understanding business and understanding digital marketing. What do you think is up with, and I guess this is kind of an open question, but what are your thoughts on all the experts out there and the businesses out there who are great at their craft, like the best photographer in the world, the greatest restaurant in town, but nobody knows about them because they haven't entered this world of digital marketing? They've either brushed it off, they don't want anything to do with it. I mean, is this something that you see often? And what are your thoughts on just people not jumping on board with digital marketing itself?
It's such an interesting topic, and we kind of just reiterate it in the first sentence where you're like, oh, you're well known, you pop up on Google. And I think the issue is it's easier than ever to hack the algorithm, whether it's ads, whether it's SEO, organic, and you can rank very high, but your skill is lacking. And the opposite's true, where someone can have amazing skill. Take a photographer, for instance, be in the business for 30 years, but no one knows about them because they don't have a digital presence. So you definitely need both, right? I would recommend, it doesn't matter which quadrant you're in. If you're a photographer, you need to get better skill-wise, do more gigs. But if you're a digital marketer, and we'll talk about this, you definitely need to have that digital presence. And there's a lot of different things you could be doing, and we'll talk about that in a second. But you can't have one without the other, you know what I mean? Because listen, you might be perceived as an expert, but once people hire you, they found out very quickly that you're lacking in a lot of different skills. And it's tough, then you're called out. So you got to make the most of it.
When you started to take momentum into this new digital world, and you really started to, it's going to sound really cheesy, but you started to build momentum with momentum online, and you started to then, reach different niches and different types of businesses. I mean, what were some of the first things that you focused on when you started incorporating digital marketing into the skill set that was virtual tours? Like, what were some of the difficulties? What did it look like at the very beginning?
So there's really three things that I'll mention, and these are things that people can listen to that are actionable. So if you're listening to this, from the office, if you're listening to this on the ride home, these are things you can literally impact and incorporate in your business today. The first thing is getting a Google My Business account. If you guys don't know what that is, it's essentially a social media profile for a business. So for instance, if you were to type in best pizza near me, and then pizza pops up, it's like a 4.5 rating. Dave Portnoy probably rated it at least like an 8.5. You know what I mean? That's a Google My Business profile where you can have all these social media posts. You can put what you're doing. And in terms of actually typing in a keyword that someone wants to search, there you go. That's where your whole profile is going to lie. And then you can, click to the website and all that kind of stuff as well. The second thing is, this is incorporating kind of like going to the website side of things, is blogging. And this might sound like very saturated, so to speak. Oh, you need content. But it's how you write something, not necessarily what you're writing about. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of people that just create blogs and put it out there without actually doing the proper research. And what I would recommend is going on a website like Uber Suggest, run by Neil Patel, or a SEMrush, or, Ahrefs. I mean, whatever you want to do to kind of get that pinpoint key phrase. So for instance, for me, I took for 360 virtual tour company near me, or virtual tour services, which we rank, pretty well nationwide now. And what I did was I strategically started to make content around that keyword. So I made questions: what are virtual tour services, virtual tour service pricing, and then I just made a blog, literally virtual tour services, right? So you have all these different niches of the key phrase, and slowly but surely, once you put in your I would say 10,000 hours, so to speak, and you're hitting all these different checklists. And for me, the checklist is the same. There's really 5 main things. It's 2,000 words, 5 SEO optimized images, like compressed images. You have 5 internal links, 5 outbound links, and then you want to mention the key phrase 1 to 2% of the entire blog. So those 5 main things for the blogging strategy are very, very impactful. And then the third is something that for me, I wasn't really cognizant of when I first started, but now it's more important than ever, but it's really garnering reviews. So for us, we have about, I would say, 40 Google My Business profiles. I think it's like closer to 50 now, in each state in the United States. And what we do is each time we have a project in that state, we go and text the link out, email the link out, and we'll get that person to then say, strategically, of course, best virtual tour service in blank, and that blank is the location. So you can slowly see, like, it's all algorithm based. It's all based off of what is someone searching for and how can we rank for that.
Oh man, awesome. Thanks for going through those 3 things, because we could create 3 conversations just off each of those things. A lot of people are going to be listening who are brand new to this, because they know this is how it was for me, and they're going to be like, oh my God, this sounds like way too much to do. Yeah, it's a lot, right? It's difficult, and it's not meant to be easy, right? You got into business because you want to create a future for yourself. You want to create a legacy. You want to make an impact bigger than just being simply an employee for a company, which is also a very honorable thing. But this is going to not be easy. And for those who are like, oh, I got to create the My Business account, and how do I garner reviews? Let's say, you're a coach or you're a consultant listening. The thing about that is this whole idea of a Google My Business account, if you are just a business of one, you could still create this My Business account on Google. But think of it like this. If we take those 3 steps and we make it even more solopreneur-like, create a profile on the platform that makes the most sense for you. Create content around your keywords. So if you are a health expert, it might be how to lose weight, how to get into shape, how to build muscle, whatever your niche is in the health field. Figure out what people are searching, and then create videos and content around that. Like, guys, if you go to Sean's YouTube channel, which is in the description, click the link. You'll literally, if you go to most popular videos, if you go to oldest videos, like the proof of what he's saying is there. Like, it's literally virtual tour this, virtual tour that. It's literally things that people are actively typing into Google. And when they type it, you're the first thing that pops up, because you've got so much content in this catalog. And this is why it's important to really niche yourself down. Like, I'm sure there's a lot of them, but not many that are well known when it comes to virtual tour companies. So you've really been able to carve out your place in this niche. And obviously you had to pick that niche in the first place, which is another conversation. But I just love how this was very strategic for you. Like, none of it was, I'm sure some of it was, but none of it was left up to chance, the marketing of your business and all those things. Where did you learn, like, these concepts of these 3 steps, Sean? Like, where did this education come from for you?
And this is something that I was just going to say is, it's a great thing that we live in 2022, because we have Google, we have YouTube, we have all these, resources where if you just have a Wi-Fi connection, you can go out and do research on this. So what I just said, those 3 steps, they're not easy, but if you can learn that, if you can master that for your craft, that slowly but surely, you'll start to see some success with digital presence. But it's funny, man, I really have to give it up to my business partner, Mac, who actually worked at Google before starting the Momentum Digital side of things, right? And I really just listened to what he had to say, you know, because I know a lot of interns at the time. I was 20 years old at that point, and a lot of people were just like half-assing this, and they weren't necessarily taking it serious. And I was like, well, why would you not take this serious? Like, this is something where for us, I dramatically saw potential with momentum as soon as I walked in the door. And Mac and I are pretty much the same guy. Like, we're like peanut butter and jelly, you know what I mean? Like, he's, you know, the blonde German guy, and I'm the Irish guy with dark hair. So it has that like funny dynamic to it. And it's one of these things where as soon as we really started to see potential with this, I just took off and I listened every single little thing he would say about like, oh, this is what you have to do for the blog. This is what you have to do for the website, whatever. I really just listened to that. And then I started to go on YouTube on my own time and to say, oh, how does this actually work? How can I do this instead of just like having Mac teach me? And then I was self-taught. And before you know it, I was kind of writing content myself and started to, I guess, generate all that other stuff.
You know, another thing about you too, and it's, you know, I'm curious where it came from, and I'll ask you that, especially when it comes to, you know, the whole minimalist mindset that you have around business, and it's not all flashy and this and that. Like, you're behind the scenes actually doing things, taking action. But I watched a conversation that you had with someone during 2020, because I was like, I wonder how he was doing during, you know, the thing that was happening during 2020, right? Yeah. And a lot of businesses during that time, and still like now, like a lot of them are like, it's still the same as 2 years ago, right? Yeah, some things are similar, right? Some requirements that have to be met. But a lot of businesses, man, they're afraid. Like, they're like, we have to do what we've always done. You know, things will pick up. We just have to keep going. And it's like, guys, if you don't change what you've been doing, then you're constantly going to get the same results that you've always gotten, especially during this time. You've mentioned you have to make moves, even especially during times where other people aren't making moves. Where does that mindset of making moves, especially during quote unquote difficult times for other people, where did that mindset come from for you, and how do you continue to strengthen that mindset?
Because we don't have time. You know, that's the big thing I've always kind of reiterated to myself is, you know, you're 24 years old, you have lived almost a quarter of your life, and you don't have time to essentially sit back and let these things, you know, take form and take chance of their own right. You know what I mean? Like, make your own luck. You got to work at it. And what's the definition of insanity? You know, doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. So I've always tried to have that mentality where we need to pivot, we need to do different things, because if we're seeing some success here, cool. Pour some fuel in the fire. Let's do more of it. And if we're not working over here, let's change it. What are we continuing to waste our time and money for? You know what I mean? And this is something where I'm a big mixed martial arts fan. I love the UFC. And something that really triggered was when Dana White said, screw you to all these other commissions, all these other leagues. It was like, we're going to continue to be open. We're going to go to Abu Dhabi. We're going to go to all the places that we can still go to in 2020, which is pretty much Vegas at the Apex, a very small confined arena, and then Abu Dhabi. And that's what they did. And I have just so much admiration for that man, because Dana really reinforces that belief. And I watch him every single weekend, you know, all these interviews, and he's my favorite entrepreneur of all time. I can't get enough of the guy. He's fantastic. And he just doesn't really care. Like, he's just, listen, we got to do what we got to do to create the business that we want to have. And, you know, all these different changes. And I think it's something where, because I grew up and I was a very shy kid, and now, you know, I like to think I'm a little extroverted, and you gotta take chances, man. You know, life's too short. And I think a lot of people think that, you know, we're going to have all these different opportunities and take it for granted, but it's not true, man. So you got to definitely adjust course.
100%, man. Absolutely. And, you know, some people are more risk averse. Some people are, you know, they like to keep it safe, but you got to understand, man, like we're all headed towards the same thing, right? We're all living to die, right? And it's not to bring this into a dark realm here, but that's the reality of life is you got to try different things. And, you know, if you're not getting the result that you want, then adjust your approach.
And right? I think it's a beautiful thing. I don't mean to interrupt, but I think it's a beautiful thing. What you just said is, it's like a lot of people think, oh, that's kind of a sadistic mindset. I think the opposite, where instead of like saying, oh, they're gonna have this long life, you cherish each day a lot more. You hug your loved ones closer every single day. You're in contact with people that you want to be associated around. I think that you can appreciate life a lot more than just kind of taking the days for granted. So it's very well said.
Yeah, no, 100%. And again, there's several ways you can look at things, man, but we've time flies by, man. And it's like the people who are getting the results are the ones who are trying different things. They're the people we look up to. They're the people we respect, just like you with Dana White. And it's like, how can I apply those philosophies and principles into my own business model? I think it's really important to go back, because even if you just take away those three things that we talked about at the beginning, when it comes to create your profile with Google My Business, start creating content around the questions that people are already asking you. Establish yourself as the authority, establish yourself as the person who is seen as soon as someone makes that post. And I love the whole garnering reviews and the recommendations aspect. And this recommendations aspect, guys, is on any platform, right? This is a testimonial someone can make for you. This is a recommendation someone can post for you on LinkedIn. This is literally a Google review that someone can place for your restaurant, your gym, your hair salon, your business, right? So my question for you, because you do a really good job with this, I know you touched on how you garnered the reviews and like the process you have, but could you maybe go a little bit deeper into the process of how you not elicit, the best word, how do you farm for reviews? Because you're delivering a great experience, but a lot of people deliver great experiences, but they're almost afraid to like ask for that testimonial. How do you go about collecting those?
I mean, listen, if you're providing a very good product at a great price and people are happy, why should you be ashamed of asking for a review? That's kind of my whole mentality. So there's two things really that we do. It's more manual side and then automatic. The manual side is if I have a very personal relationship with a client and I have their phone number and I could be like, oh yeah, the shoot went fantastic, and they felt the same, I will then text them that link. Again, this is like if we have a personal relationship, like non-corporate, like they're Philly-based, tri-state area-based, pretty much like all over the U.S. But if we have a personal relationship, if we text each other, cool. But if it's more of like a corporate client that it's harder to get in touch of, I really only have their like office number or office email. I don't have like anything personal. What I'll do then is in my CRM called 17 Hats. And this is a CRM for photographers. You can do invoicing, lead gen. I mean, there's all this kind of stuff you could do. But the thing that I like to do is incorporate workflows. That's what it's called. So you can send out all these automatic emails. So I'll give you an example. Once we send out assets, we then send a follow-up email, like a drip campaign, a day later to say, hey, so-and-so, I hope you had a great experience with us. If there's anything that I can do, please let me know. And then I'll actually attach a personal Loom video to that email to then say, hey, Brandon, I had a great experience. Thank you so much. I hope you had the same. If there's anything you can do, let me know. And then maybe I'll throw in a personal thing that we talked about, like, oh, you love the Cincinnati Bengals, you love Joe Burrow, like, I don't know, right? Something like that. And it's building a little bit more rapport. And then more than not, they'll respond, give a review. And if they don't, great. But it's a numbers game. We're doing a lot of different projects. But I always like to have that personal relationship of making that manual video. And even though it's an automatic strategy with like all the drip campaigns and all the automation, I still want to have that manual approach where I can make that video and still build rapport. So,
oh man, I love that process. And let me just say, man, like a lot of the things that you do are very simple and they make a lot of sense to you. But to new business owners, to people who, again, they're great at a skill, but they don't necessarily have that business muscle yet. It's something that you have to develop. Like that process that you just listed out, like number one, obviously you deliver at a very high level, a very high quality level. You deliver your product, your service, whatever it is. And then that one step there, man, that a lot of people miss is the follow-up, reaching back out, asking how they're doing. Hey, how's the product? How is, how did you get it set up on your website, the virtual tour? Did you embed the link? Like, how are you using it? What have you heard about it so far? And by the way, remember how you told me that your kid had that basketball game coming up? I hope he crushed it. Hope their team won. Like adding that personal touch, and even like creating that Loom video. Like some people still haven't adopted the idea of voice messaging and video messaging, and it's all text, but we have to look at these different platforms and ways of communication as if you were literally in the room with that other person, as literally as if you were talking to them one-on-one at a networking event. And this is like, even like when I get messages from people and they're just sales messages, it's like, would you walk up to a stranger at a cocktail party and say, hey, this is my service, I'd love for you to buy it, this is what I can do for you? It's like, dude, like, I don't even know who you are. You didn't tell
Right.
me anything about you. There isn't that personal relationship. And your way of personalizing that compels somebody to want to say nice things about you, because people do want to help you, but only if they know you, they like you, and they trust you. And after you deliver and follow up, at that point, it's like, dude, how can I help Sean for everything that he's done for me?
Yeah. And it's the same way internally, right? With like a lot of my employees, where every single day at 8:30, I make a Loom video kind of motivating them, right? I'll have a testimonial, 5-star review, and more than likely it'll be text as well, like a nice little paragraph, like the Momentum team did this for me, blah, 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 kind of like talking about the project and overview. And I'll just go over this and say, listen, guys, like you might be getting, kicked in the face, so to speak, by all these like cold calls and the hangups and everything, but don't get discouraged, right? We do amazing work and you guys are killing it. And it's just a really easy way. I can take like a couple-minute video, but that I've seen really drives motivation and progress, because some people, a lot of people on my team are self-starters, but some people, and it's just human nature, right? Like you get discouraged, you have a couple bad days, you start to get in this bad momentum where you're not, producing. And it's like, well, if I can motivate them every single day to understand, one, I care about them, two, the customer cares about them, and then they can reinforce in their own mind, oh my God, this product, it's not just a cool thing, it actually is working, right? Now they can understand, they feel more involved, they feel more involved with this team, especially the VAs I have sometimes in like India, Pakistan, Philippines. I make that manual video, and this is like for ops too, and a lot of other interns as well. And they feel more connected, more family. And I think that having that personal approach, not only with the client, but with the team, just makes everything a lot better.
Oh, man. So well said, brother. So well said. Whether you have a physical location or you are remote and you've got people from all over the place, especially then, you need to humanize who you are, right?
Yep.
Especially in this world that's gone totally digital, all the social platforms. Like, we still crave that human interaction with another person. And I think that that's why your virtual tours are so successful. Before people go to an alien place, whether it's a hotel that they want to book and they're like, I wonder what the rooms actually look like. Dude, you have no idea how many times I've looked up resorts in foreign countries. And it's like, I want to go to this resort, but even though I don't spend a lot of time in the room, like, I still want to know that I have a cool room that either has like the pool view, or it's like looking out towards the ocean or the mountains or wherever I'm staying and traveling. I want to know where I'm going. And it's the same thing as sending that personal message, as being able to go to a business's website and look and say, oh, this is what the barber looks like. I went to a new barber recently because we moved, and I walked in, and this is a very famous barber shop. I had no idea what it looked like. Not that it changed my opinion, but I walked in and there's 2 chairs. Like, this insanely highly successful barbershop, they've got 2 chairs and they're one of the top barbers in the entire area. But if it was on their website, I would have gone to it and been like, dude, there's 2 chairs. Maybe I should make an appointment ahead of time. Maybe they're going to be busy. Like, you know what I'm saying? So what you're providing is very personal in itself. So it makes sense how what you're doing and what the business is, they relate very well with each other. So let me ask you, because we have a lot of small business owners watching who have a physical store location, they've got the website, and they're like, okay, well, I want to know how I can further market myself. Let's talk specifically about Momentum, and then after we'll talk about your YouTube channel and what you're creating there and what your mission is with that. But for the small business owner, what is Momentum 360 providing for them in terms of the results they'll see with your service? And what types of businesses are you working mostly with nowadays?
Yeah, so it's a great question. There's really 3 main things in our content strategy, specifically with 360, that we're doing. So the first thing is taking an audit, right? And this is probably something not new, but if this is new to you, we take an audit of a company's digital presence. So that's tracking their social media, their Google, all these interactions, website clicks, all these certain KPIs that people want to know about. So we have a baseline, you know what I mean? Because there's really no way to track growth unless you have that baseline. So we definitely need that concrete floor to say, okay, doesn't matter how low it is, this is where we are. And then once we shoot, whether we're doing a video or we're doing a virtual tour, we can then track that by taking that content, posting it on YouTube, Facebook, website, all these different things, maybe putting it into a Google Ads campaign or putting it into YouTube ads or putting it into like a MailChimp campaign. That we do that as well. And then we get everyone situated. And then a week later, we can kind of track, and this is the third step, of how it's performing. right? Because the cool thing is this is something where it's like any type of content, it's a blog or whatever, that's a good way to think about it, that it's going to continue to gain traction over time. It's not something where it's digital advertising where it's pay to play. You're going to have this forever, and you're going to continue to garner results, garner clicks, garner impressions. And that's very important, because if I can send someone, this is what we do every single month, a good idea of, okay, here's how many impressions this virtual tour has generated, these are the amount of clicks, these are the amount of unique visitors on the website. That's a very powerful thing, because there's a lot of people who are, wasting money on, ads and all this PPC. It's like, if you can avoid that money, man, I mean, you're getting a lot more bang for your buck just with this virtual tour. And I forget the second question you asked, but
and like who specifically you're working with, like for those listening, like what does your ideal client look like?
Yeah, it's really half of it is real estate. So commercial, industrial, residential, of course. And the other half is like small businesses, right? And this is something that I'm pretty much struggling right now, is like there's so many different businesses that are really coming to us. It's like, do I want to focus in one specific niche, or do I want to get enough experience in each specific niche where I can then be a so-and-so expert? Because I don't want to be like the jack of all trades. I'd rather be like the master at this one specific niche. But
yeah,
the more I think about it, the more I come to the conclusion of, you are providing the same service for the most part. You're just changing out the call to actions and the wording essentially for a retail, restaurant, automobile dealership. So do all these niches, gain as much experience as you can, and then ultimately you'll be an expert in all of them in terms of marketing them from a virtual perspective. So, but it's hard though, right? Because you have like everyone in the world, they're saying you need to focus on one niche, you need to target this. So that's kind of what I'm struggling with. But yeah, it's about 50% real estate and then 50% small businesses.
And you started, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you started mostly focusing on real estate. Is that correct?
Yeah. And as soon as we started to realize that the, $300 virtual tour really wasn't, because it's still, listen, like $300 for just the virtual tour. If I'm helping somebody with that, great. But we're starting to move on to these larger projects, providing more value on the bigger scale. And that's how it should be. I never want to lose that personal touch, but we're also at a point now where we can take on these larger projects and just provide more value based off of the bandwidth and all the SOPs that we have.
Yeah, because you already, just from that description, you do more than I thought. And I mean, a small business listening, you're not just getting the virtual tour. That's one step. And like you said, that's cool. If that's what you want, then they'll provide that for you, right? It's an asset that you can continue to use over and over for your business. It's a no-brainer, really. But Sean and his team, they're literally going to come in and track that baseline. They're going to do the tour. They're going to see how it's performing. You essentially have your own digital marketing agency here in your corner that's helping you to get results for your business. And obviously reach out. There's going to be links in the description. Reach out, see if this makes sense for you and your business. And if you're not doing anything like this right now, you don't have to do it alone. You can find help from people who are in this space out there doing it right now.
Yeah,
I love
absolutely.
that, man. So I know right now your main focus is your YouTube channel. And my question for you, because I love YouTube very much too, and I very much was in that world and still am, of what are people searching for? What do they want to see? A lot of the guests that I have on the show are because people are actively searching for these topics. Digital marketing is obviously one of the huge topics people are looking for. So I love the game that you're playing on YouTube, but you also, like, you just bought a condo in Costa Rica, right? Like, you're creating cool content. So like, congratulations, by the way, on the condo. That's super cool.
Thank you.
And like, what's your mission with the YouTube channel? What can people expect when they go there?
It's a great question, man. I mean, when you go to my page, there's really two things I'm trying to provide. It's like information from whether you're trying to start up your own virtual tour business or just like market it in a better light. I spend about half of my time and energy on that. The other side is just having fun, you know what I mean? With the condo, there's a lot of other things as well associated with that. So you get a good mix of entertainment as well. And I think that, and again, I'm not really sure, but at least for me, people that are willing, how do you like grow a YouTube channel, right? I started off implementing the strategy that I did with the blogs, that I did with the YouTube. So I was checking out all these different key phrases. I would actually write a blog, and then I would make a video on top of that, right? Then I was like, well, if the blog is getting a lot of traction, what about the YouTube video? And then I slowly started out, this is going to be a good idea. But now that we've garnered, a decent audience, and it's not a huge channel by any stretch of the imagination, but the audience that I have, I try to now switch it to like current events and education, still keeping it informational based, but not necessarily like having all these like general questions just to gain traffic. It's more so now like, what do people want to hear in terms of digital marketing, SEO content, all this stuff. And then obviously keeping it very light with, you know, all the condo talk and stuff like that.
I love what you're building, brother, and you definitely do have an audience that's following you and that's growing along with you. Like, sure, like you said, it's not the biggest audience, but I mean, you're at the very beginning stages of what the rest of your life and business career is going to look like, and you're creating this asset that you're going to take with you, and you're helping people and you're helping business owners in many different ways, not just providing the virtual tour, but with everything else you're doing. So it's cool to have met you and to have found you and to see all the things you're building, because now I get to continue to follow you and see the things that you continue to build and how you grow. So one of my final questions, brother, and again, everyone, links are in the description to Sean's YouTube channel for Momentum. Links are to Momentum 360, so you can check that out too. My final question for you is, you're a super young guy, right? Whole life ahead of you. You've already found so much business success. You've already got such big plans for the future. What is your personal mission at this chapter in your life, and what are you working towards personally right now?
That's a question I ask myself every single day when I meditate, man. That's a great question. It's a simple question, but it's a great question, because honestly, I'm trying to build up momentum as best as I can. But personally, you know, one of the things that I've really just tried to find is obviously have a soulmate, you know, and have somebody who I can share the rest of my life with. I know people are getting married, you know, like younger than me, and that kind of scares me. You know what I mean? It's the nature of the beast right now. But having someone I can really gravitate towards, and then traveling the world with her, and, you know, really learning all these different cultures. That's when I was in Barcelona in 2018. I decently know the Spanish language pretty well. And, you know, obviously having a couple of sangrias definitely helps. But when I was there, I was just, wow, like if I could spend a good majority of my life going to all these different countries and learning about culture, and then helping in that perspective, whatever that may be, probably in the digital marketing, you know, virtual tour realm, that's, I think, my life's calling, is really, you know, traveling, understanding, having empathy with all these different countries, gaining like just to get a better idea of life. Because don't get me wrong, I love the United States and I love the places I've traveled, but I think it's very, how shall I say, inflated way of life because we have it so well. So I want to definitely check out all the other places that we have in this world. But it's a good question. I mean, it's hard to answer that honestly, because there's so many different things I want to do, but it's just, I guess, personal growth and reflection, and continuing to try to find that answer, which is, I think, a lifelong journey in its own right.
You know, it's funny you say that, brother, because I've sat down with several people, and both successful in, I'm thinking of two specifically, both successful in business, and they said they wanted the same thing. They're like, I want someone to share it with, right? I want to find my soulmate so I can share this success and continue to build with them and get their ideas. Because when you have someone else, like I got married at your age, actually, you're 23, 24?
24, yeah.
24. Okay, so I got married when I was 23, and like I'm sure I could, but I don't know, because obviously I haven't been in that situation. But like, she's helped me to build this business just as much as I have, right? So now you've got a sounding board for all of your ideas. It's a healthy relationship and marriage is such a beautiful thing, because you've got double the energy going towards what you're focused on. You get to help each other. You get someone to listen to you. But I've sat down with two people who wanted the same thing. And I know you're totally into this because you're huge into personal development and meditation, but this is for anyone else out there looking for that soulmate or that person. Really, it's defining exactly what that person looks like, not like physically, although you can, absolutely, that's important. What they look like in terms of their values and what they want and what their goals are and their morals, whatever it is that you're looking for and how it aligns with yourself. Once you determine what that is specifically, write that down, man, and just see it every day, knowing that it's on its way to you and that they're on your way to you. And that thought, you're going to start seeing different things and people in your environment. You know the law of attraction very well, I'm sure, but you start to see what it is you've been looking for. But I think the biggest part here is just realizing that that person and whatever situation you want, it's already on its way to you. I mean, things are already in motion, but it's seeing what you want before it's really even a thing, just like I'm sure you did with Momentum. It's the same thing for any area of life, man. So not to like give you advice, but I'm sure you already know this, but you're doing great things, brother. And I know that you'll find exactly what you're looking for.
I appreciate that, man. Listen, I'm nowhere near from perfect, and I appreciate that feedback, man. That's great.
Let me tell you, Sean, it's been a pleasure talking to you, man. Thanks for the incredible digital marketing tips, your story, which is inspiring in its own right. And again, everyone, links are in the description to go check out everything Sean's building with the YouTube channel, Momentum 360. It's been a pleasure, brother. Thanks for giving us your time.
100%. Thank you so much.
Whether you're a small business owner, coach, consultant, expert in a field, corporate, and you're looking for this exact thing, like we talked about so many different things in this conversation, guys, including soulmates, which is super cool way to end that, just talking about Sean's mission and everything he's building. But no matter what situation you're in, you got to go follow Sean. I'm going to have links to his social profiles in the description too. See everything he's up to, because that's inspiring in itself, just seeing what he's building. And again, if there's a lot of things that we talked about in here, like creating your My Business account, writing the content, garnering the reviews and the recommendations, like rewind, listen to those parts over and over, and then start asking yourself, which parts do I really need to learn? Don't just hire someone to do it. Like, learn it yourself, at least at a very basic level, so that you can actually track the progress of the person who's doing what it is you want to do for your business. But again, if you're looking for virtual tours, links are in the description. If you want to go check out Sean's YouTube channel, links are in the description. And as always, we've only grown because you've started to share this show with one person who you know could use it the most. So you're on the team. Thank you for everything that you've done. Thank you for watching. And as always, until we talk again next time, continue to be better.